everyone, welcome to a brand new video and thank you so much for spending a little bit of time with me today. Today I'm going to take you guys on a garden tour. We're going to just take a walk about my yard and I'm going to show you a bunch of the spring plants that are coming in. It is currently the end of April. I live in Pennsylvania, which is zone 6B, and most of my flower beds are shady. So if you also have a woodsy shaded property, hopefully I can give you some good ideas and inspiration. Otherwise, let's just jump right into my spring garden tour. So just for something a little different, I decided to start in the backyard. So this is the backside of my house. That is my screened-in porch. And over here we have what I refer to as the goth garden. Got some different bulbs in here. This was my first time doing bulbs and planters and I really love that look. These ones didn't do as hot, which I'm not sure why. I also had some rotten ones in there I had to toss out. I just put that in there. I love the look of the tulips and planters, and that is something I'm definitely going to try to perfect. There is a guy on Instagram, I think his name is Klaus Darby. I'm gonna put it up on the screen. He does a bunch of pots, spring bulbs, and it's just like the most magnificent thing you've ever seen. Also, last fall, I did plant this Japanese maple, and that seems to be thriving where I put it. I think that's going to add some really nice visual interest to this corner. I just put this little planter here, trying to figure out where I want it. If I keep it back here, I think I'm actually gonna spray paint it black to match the whole gothic garden vibes. These dead looking things are hyacinths. I just transplanted them from up by my porch, and when they are done and faded, I will cut them back. I just didn't want to prematurely do that. This was blooming a lot earlier in the season, but there's a couple left on it. I think this is such an underrated plant. People, I don't really see it very much, but I think it is so beautiful. And like these little, they kind of remind me of like lily of the valley. They're just really cool. And these can thrive in shade. This I planted about 2 years ago and I still have the tag on it. It seems to be struggling a little bit, but I think this is gonna be the first year with blooms. This is a mountain laurel, which is, I believe, the state flower of Pennsylvania, and I saw these for the first time last summer, and oh my gosh, they're so beautiful. They kind of have hydrangea vibes. I've got some of these little white narcissus, and I just put the shepherd's hook here with my little wind chime. I don't think that's gonna live there, but I just wanted to zhuzh up the area a little bit. And then right behind me we have 4 azalea bushes that are just starting to bloom. Doesn't look like either these are gonna bloom late or a bunch of them aren't gonna have blooms because I cut the heck out of them last year. These used to be massive, like massive, as tall as me, and last year Sam and I really cut them back, and this creeping Jenny looks like it's gonna creep into becoming my lawn, which I don't actually think I would hate that. But parts of them are already starting to bloom just today. Moving this way, all the Pachysandra is coming in nicely. There's some, I think that's catmint, I'm not entirely sure, mixed in there, and I have some of that floating around my yard. I'm loving the Japanese maple. I think this is so pretty. I almost want to get another one to put like right there, or maybe some other smaller dwarf size tree, because I believe that one is a dwarf. I've got the hanging baskets up there, and there's some creeping Jenny, I think, still in there that might end up coming in. Otherwise, they'll get planted up later in the year. And here is the row of plants. These tulips I had not intended to plant here last fall, but I am so glad they ended up here because I enjoy them from my porch so much. Absolutely loving them. And then the ones from the container, once they're spent, I think I'm gonna move them next to this. So eventually I would love to fill this all in with tulips. Behind the tulips, we've got a summer crush hydrangea coming in. You can see some lilies back there. That is a stilby. You will see these things floating around my yard. Those are for termites, and they are always in the way when I'm trying to be planting. Bleeding heart. This is toad lily, I think, and stone crop. I just moved this shepherd's hook with the bird feeders on it, so my cats could get a little bit closer of a look. They like to perch on these two stools here. Got a butterfly bush here. This seems to be filling in really well. Last year it was pretty spindly looking. And then over here, eventually the rest of the exterior doors in my house, I really want to paint black. I just haven't gotten to it yet, but gosh, I look at that red and it's so ugly to me. Got some lilies coming in here. I did not think the sun was gonna be this bright right now, but this big bleeding heart can probably get split up this year. And then we have an oak leaf hydrangea. This is new, planted last summer. We've got this rhododendron, which has been here since I moved in. It seems to be struggling. The wood on it is really old looking. I don't think it would survive if I wanted to transplant it, but maybe I just need to trim it down a ton. This hasn't bloomed yet, so there are some buds on there. I also just added this like rock border here the other day. These are the leftover rocks that had been sitting in my driveway from the project I did last summer. But I thought that looked nice and it was a good use of the extra materials. I actually want to go pick up more and do the rest of the back flower beds like that. All right, and now we are up front. Here's my little line of boxwoods. I actually spent some time a couple weeks ago realigning them. I planted these like 2 years ago and I didn't do a very good job doing like evenly spacing them, I guess. So I just moved them all a little bit tighter, and honestly I think I might have put them too close together. I really want them to get bigger, but for now they are what they are. I already trimmed them up, and again I think I cut them a little shorter than I wanted, but I still think they look really cute. I just think mass plantings of boxwoods always look good no matter what. If you don't know what to do, I'm always like, boxwoods. This azalea here looks like it's getting ready to bloom, but not as ready as the others. I don't know why my leaves are so yellow on this one. If anyone has any idea about what might be causing this one is really old. It definitely was here when we moved in, but I have not moved it. I have not transplanted it, so I don't really know why it's not happy. If you have feedback for me, I'd love to hear it. And then down here at this corner, since this corner gets a fair amount of sun, especially in like the high days of summer, I decided to put some petunias here. I am doing all purple and white annuals this year, carrying over from what you just saw with my purple and white tulips. I have a foxglove and a lupin that I planted last summer. They're kind of just random. I'll probably end up moving them somewhere else eventually, but neither of them bloomed last year, so I'm hopeful they'll get blooms on them this year. Like I said, this little corner gets pretty decent sun. And then last year I planted this little tiny stick, which is a small tree. So this is a dogwood tree, and it got 2 blooms on it this year. So that's kind of exciting. I can't wait for it to get a decent size. And obviously when that grows in size, I will have to move some things around, but I'm sure that'll be a few years if I'm even still in this house when it gets to be a decent size. And then this is another azalea back here. It's like a really deep fuchsia color, and it's one of the ones that reblooms in autumn. I planted this maybe 3 years ago, so it is relatively new. And moving along to the side of the house, if you saw my video from a couple weeks ago, I built these 2 new window boxes here. I am very proud of my work. They're not completely finished. I have plans to do something underneath them to hide those ugly brackets, some cool corbels or something. But until then, I'm hoping the sweet potato vines will spill down and kind of hide them a little bit better. But I planted these up probably about 2 weeks ago with these pansies. And oh my gosh, they're just so cute and so happy. If there was an award for the cutest plant, it would probably go to pansies and violas. And then we have another azalea here getting ready to bloom. Again, because I think I went so hard on clipping it back last year, it might not have as many blooms. The one over on this side seems to have a few more buds. I have some alliums that have not bloomed yet. And then we've got this group of, I'm trying to remember the type of tulips. Shoot, I can't remember it. I'll put it up in the screen if I do. These ones get really, really tall. They were supposed to be more pink in the pictures. I guess they're kind of pink, but they more look red, orange in the full sunlight. I think they really look nice here. If I get a couple of days that overlap with these tulips, the azaleas, and the alliums, plus the pansies, I think that'll be wild to have all of those different blooms at once right here. And then around the corner from those windows, we have my front porch. Things are looking sharp this year. I feel like this is the first year where like my efforts have started to pay off with all the hard work I've done. I just pressure washed and cleaned off the entire front porch and pressure washed this part of the sidewalk at least. That part I have not done. You can see my 3 hydrangeas are coming in hot. We have some chilly weather coming up though in the 30s, and I hope they're gonna be okay. And then up at my front door, I've just got the usual faux boxwoods. I've got the same mat and rug that I had last year, but I did make a new wreath. Previously I had a faux tulip wreath, and some bird made a muddy, gross nest in it, and it pretty much got destroyed, and all the tulips were just gross and faded from the sun anyway. So this is the one I made over a month ago now. These are hyacinths, but they could probably pass as lilacs too, maybe. And just cleaned off the old wicker furniture here and pulled out the cushions. Obviously I haven't mulched anything yet. I like to wait a little bit later in the season. Here you can see we've got lots of good stuff coming in the shade garden. I made a video last spring about basically planning and setting this whole area up. All of the hostas you see in here were hostas that were already on my property when I moved in, and literally all came from 2 hostas. There were 2 hostas that looked like that and one that looked like that, and they were massive, and so I've been able to divide them up. I can probably split these up a little bit more this year too, and these are, since they're all the same variety, I kind of want to get some different stuff going on in here. But the coral bells that I planted last year, or the heuchera, all are coming in great. I really like having that to break up the hosta foliage. I haven't pruned these boxwoods yet. I initially, when I planted them, I thought I wanted them to be little balls like the ones up by the garage, but they seem to be growing in more of a vertical formation, so I think trimming them into cones would look a little bit better. I think these are the green velvet variety. I really like the leaves on these. They're so soft. Another plant I would really like to get more of in here is the brunnera, which is this guy right here. We get blooms in the spring, and then you have that beautiful variegated foliage there. That's another really good shade plant if you want to branch out from hostas. And then lining the brick border here, I have a series of lily rope, I think. Lily turf, lily rope. I don't know. But some critter, I think it's rabbits, likes to eat them. I don't know why they eat them and not the hostas. I don't think it's deer, but it's those in particular. So most of them are dead. Whatever is still alive is growing in, and I'll probably transplant it. And I'm thinking I'm gonna refill the holes with some annuals, probably I'm thinking some white New Guinea impatiens to, you know, really set this off and create a nice little border. And I'm thinking of carrying the impatiens over here as well. I've never done annuals over there, but overall I am like so ecstatic about how everything just popped up this year and was like a happy surprise from all the hard work I've done. I think that's one of the main things with gardening is you have to learn patience. But I just get super stoked when everything starts to bloom, and I like to just sit outside and plan in my head what I want to do next year, what I want to add, what I want to change, what I want to move around. I don't know, I just find it so much fun and like such a nice creative outlet. Now we're gonna move out to the very front of my yard to this big flower bed circle here. You may remember me working on this last summer. This was my big landscaping project that I pretty much finished last year. Well, I don't want to say finished. No gardener is ever finished. But oh my gosh, filling in so much. Basically, my favorite thing to do now is shop for plants at the end of the season. You can get some really cheap markdown stuff. So that's kind of what I think I'm going to do going forward, and just fill things in, fill spots in. You can see a lot of the landscaping fabric didn't want to stay down, and then a lot of the grasses and little tiny, I think there's squill. If they're not squill, they're something similar to that. Grasses all still came through anyway. There's not really a whole lot I can do about it, but that's kind of why I wait to put the mulch down. Once I put a fresh layer of mulch down, everything will look so much cleaner. This azalea bush was originally here when we bought the house, so obviously that is doing pretty well. And then these two were transplanted. So that one was transplanted last spring, and I think this one was transplanted in the fall. I don't think this one's gonna get any blooms on it this year. This one does, but it's gonna take a little bit to grow in. And basically I've just got a mix of a bunch of like shade loving plants in here. So I kind of visualize this half of the bed as like hydrangeas as the main big feature point, and then this side of the bed, the azaleas as the main feature point, and then tucking smaller things in amongst them. So you can see the big bleeding heart there, and more varieties of those same two hostas I have up front. This is a black lace elderberry, actually, that should get pretty big. So like I said, I try to keep like the bigger stuff in the middle and then fill in with shorter things around the edges. Got some woodland phlox here. This was planted probably like 3 years ago now. It might not get enough sun, but it's nice to see at least a few blooms on it. Like I said, I like to pick up anything I can at the end of the season. I got most of these hydrangeas hella cheap at the end of the season last year. I don't actually know what that is. A lot of these I probably won't know what they are. This big bleeding heart. I have 2 boxwoods I put in here that I'm hoping to get kind of grown upwards into like tall, skinny kind of formation. And then over here, we've got the bed of creeping Jenny that I think is going to creep out into our entire lawn. I don't necessarily want it to take over this whole bed. It's kind of just doing its thing, and I don't even know if there's much I could do about it at this point unless I wanted to kill all of it. So we'll see how that goes and how this creeps by the end of the growing season. Otherwise, I might end up doing something else with that space. But again, here's a look at kind of everything coming in. Once June hits, I think this will look pretty banging. There's a couple dead things over here. I have a dead azalea from like 2 years ago. So we need to get that replaced. And I don't know what this was behind it. Also something that died. So then the other flower bed we have is this one right here. I haven't really done too much to this one yet, but this is kind of my last flower bed to tackle, and it's the biggest one. As you can see, it's tons of Pachysandra, and I've already started some work on this. I'm working on creating like a little pathway through it. See, this azalea is really ready to go. This is my favorite azalea in my whole yard. I don't know what this variety is, but it's different than all the other ones I showed you guys. This one's got more red undertones than blue undertones, and I like that. And then I am working on, like I said, a walking path to get through basically to the street. And I'm doing the cardboard method. So under all this dirt is cardboard. So basically I can start afresh, and I'm gonna keep it mostly naturalized back here. I'm gonna do a border of a couple shrubs and then fill in with some hostas over here. I just got this rhododendron the other day. Now, I'm absolutely obsessed with it. I knew rhododendrons came in this color, but I've never seen one out in real life. And when I came across this, I was like, oh my gosh, how stunning that color, that indigo. Oh my gosh, I just absolutely love it. So I hope this gets nice and big and beautiful, and like that purple next to this pink, oh, I just love it. And then for a third shrub along this walkway, I'm thinking a white azalea right there. So this is slowly coming together. I want to finish the pathway and get the dirt down, and then on the little pathway I want to do a like archway trellis and get some like climbing plants around it, just so it'll feel like a little secret garden pathway through here. And I would love to get a really big statue to go among these azaleas here, but who knows if that'll happen. These bunch of azaleas are blooming right now. I don't think I cut these ones last year, so they had a year to come back in, which is why they're so full and vigorous. In a couple of days, these will be real intense. You can see this is the color that most of the azaleas are. It's that like purpley pink as opposed to a red pink with more of those blue undertones. All right, you guys, that is gonna do it for my spring garden tour. If you are still watching, thank you so much. I truly appreciate it. I hope you enjoyed the video. Hit that subscribe button if you're not already subscribed for more lifestyle and home related content. And I will see you guys real soon in another video.